The next film in my 24 Ghost Stories for Christmas is the classic The Woman in Black. Now, I've talked about the film before, the made for television film from 1989, made for the ITV, developed and adapted by Nigel Neal. And I've also talked a little bit about the upcoming remake of that film, or rather, readaptation of the original story. And what I haven't really talked about too much, I maybe mentioned it slightly, is the play, and I thought it would be fun to sort of talk about the play, but I'll talk about the other adaptations as well, and I'll try not to go ow, 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 like I did there, like Foghorn Leghorn. Anyway, The Women in Black was originally written or published in 1983 by Susan Hill. It's a book which has gone on to be considered as the greatest modern era ghost story of its time. It's actually a very short book. Some people may even not call it a novel, they may call it a novella, or they may look on it as being in that grey area between a short story and a novel. It tells the story of a man looking back at his younger years when he was in his 20s. He had a wife, he had a child, and I think it's set in around. I've tried to remember the exact time period that it's actually set in. I think it's sort of late 19th century, and or the very latest, very early 20th century. And the main character is sent on uh, an assignment by his boss to go to this house which is out on this causeway. It's all sort of isolated, and he's been sent there because the woman who owns this house has died. While he's there, he starts to see visions of this woman in black, and his job is to sort out the woman's affairs, her estate, etc. But he starts to realise that there's some sort of something rather eerie going on. This woman in black appears, and the villagers in the nearby town seem to all be terrified of her. So that's really the gist of the story. I'm not doing it justice in any way, shape, or form, but I've talked about it again and again, so I don't want to synopsise it too much. It's a fantastic story. Go and check it out. In fact, one of my favourite ghost stories of all time. The play has been running for 20 odd years, and I had the privilege of watching it in Edinburgh. I'm from Glasgow, which is about an hour away from Edinburgh, Edinburgh being the capital of Scotland. And I went up to Edinburgh to check this out. Really, was really interested to see how they would do a ghost story or a horror story on the stage, and could they possibly make it frightening. And lo and behold, it was really frightening, very atmospheric, very creepy, and they managed to convey the story in a really authentic and faithful way, in my view. Now, they changed some certain things in the play. The original story, the book, is a man writing down his thoughts about this thing that happened to him when he was younger, and he just wants the story to be out there. And funnily enough, it's actually set on Christmas Eve, so it is right in here with our little series here. The book is about them telling ghost stories on Christmas Eve, and he starts to reminisce about how he did in fact really have an encounter with a ghost, one which he wanted to forget, but he feels like he needs to excise the demons by writing out an account of it. In the play, it's about how he wants to tell the story to his family and loved ones, and he hires an actor to help him deliver the lines better, so that people don't fall asleep and they'll actually be interested in listening, so he can really convey the terror of it. So the actor helps him through different scenes, and they reenact loads of the different scenes. It's very clever. They keep jumping out of character back on stage, and then they'll tell the story again of a certain part of the book, and it'll just jump back and forward between the actor and the narrator standing together and then seeing the story progress. It's really well done. The use of sound is excellent, and the use of light, shadow, really well done, and it's so simply done as well, which is really, really impressive. I think I love it. I think it was one of the best experiences I've ever had at the theatre, and I do love the theatre. So, I've seen some amazing productions of different types, but to see a ghost story told in many ways in a more frightening way than you get to see and experience on television or in the cinema was absolutely impressive. Now I know that there is a production in Canada of it, and there may even be a production of it in America, but certainly if you're in Britain you will get the opportunity to see it, because it does the circuit. Every now and then it will come back. So if you're in Britain, check it out. If you happen to be somewhere else and you see a production of it advertised, go and check it out. I can't say what the other productions will be like. I know the British production was wonderful, but I did watch, there's a production of it that was filmed for YouTube, and I think that one was from Canada or somewhere like that, but they changed it from the format that I saw, and I wasn't too keen on that. But it may be very good. I didn't sit through all of it. I was just sort of checking it out to see what it was like. But moving on to the television adaptation. It was, like I say, it was adapted by Nigel Neal, and he obviously wrote things like Quatermass. He's an absolute legend within television and cinema. He was inspiration for John Carpenter writing Prince of Darkness, and that's why John Carpenter wrote his name, Martin Quatermass, which is a character that Nigel Neal had created. The film that was made for ITV is excellent. It's really just one of the most I think it's one of the most frightening pieces of television ghost story that I've definitely seen. Oh, my light just went out. That's rather creepy. First of all, candles explode, and then the lights go out. Do you know what? The battery's dead. Ooh, I've got this light over here. Sorry, probably blinding you. Probably have to cut this short now. So anyway, if you can get a hold of the television adaptation, absolutely do. It's fantastic. I think the criticism I have of it is they do introduce some elements that aren't in the book, and the main criticism of it as a television programme is that they show the women in black up close too much. Although there's one scene in particular where they show her too close, and that is quite frightening. But it's in the novel, the woman in black is sort of emaciated and diseased, and you don't really get that from the television adaptation. I'm looking forward to seeing the Daniel Radcliffe version to see what it's like. I thought the trailers were excellent, really creepy, and they're obviously adding a lot of things in. I don't mind that, because I think that when I was younger, I used to think, starting with The Shining, I was like, I read the book, loved it, saw The Shining, I was like, it's not the book, I'm not interested. Now I absolutely adore Stanley Kubrick's The Shining as a film, but I realise now that you cannot just adapt the book for the big screen. Sometimes, very occasionally, you can give something that's really faithful, like To Kill a Mockingbird, just because the way the book is structured, it works well. But for the most part, there are things that work in book form that don't work in cinema, and vice versa. And for that reason, I don't mind them adding things in. I mean, it is a short story. Well, it's a short novel, so the new version of it, if they're adapting it, they're going to have to add in other things, I think to cater for sort of not padding it out, but to really make it work as a feature film. But I'm really looking forward to that, and I love the television adaptation. There's a BBC radio adaptation which I haven't listened to, supposedly quite good. But if you get a chance to watch the play, go and check it out. Anyway, that is the... What day did I say it was? Did I say it was the 12th? Did I? I don't know if I did. And that was The Women in Black. Go and check it out, and next time I'll try and not be so technologically impeded. Good night.